Okay. Oh, I think I might be having a heart attack. Just kidding. Just kidding. I'm just staying alive.
Hey, music fans, welcome back to Sound Lab Studios. Today we are going to be reviewing the album by the Bee Gees, Spirits Having Flown. As you can see right in front of Briar and in his background over there. And Nick and Briar are here to help review the album today. How are you gents doing?
Doing good.
Doing good, that's great. Well, this is the first time we will be covering the Bee Gees on this channel. This one was brought to us by Nick. He's been getting into the Bee Gees a lot lately. Nick, would you like to introduce the album and just have some general comments about it?
Sure. This is that's what I call their fourth album in their disco era. Uh, Before I get into that, I just want to say the history of the Bee Gees is very long. Because most people like say people from Fleetwood Mac as well. Like they think they know an era and they're like, oh, this is probably how they started, but they just started way back in '65. They made two albums in Australia, just in Australia. Those things go for thousands of dollars now. I'll never own those because I'll never buy an album that's thousands of dollars unless I'm filthy rich. They made
Yeah.
this album international, Bee Gees first. So I called their psychedelic Beatles era. It's good. Then they had this, and then like starting in '71, they made these albums. This is their best one of these, called a slower period where they're just doing ballads, nothing more, nothing less. It's probably my least favorite era of them because most of the songs sort of sound the same. There are some good songs, but then we get to this era, the disco era. I Fever are the only ones I have. I wish I pretend this is Spirit Having Flown, but this is them at their commercial height. I love this era of the Bee Gees. That's about it.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, of course, I knew the Bee Gees mainly for their hits because, I have this like two CD greatest hits compilation. I mean, there's like over 40, close to 40 songs on this thing. So pretty much gives you a good span of their career, both early and the disco and even post disco. Um, but yeah, of course, I do have the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack. This is the only Bee Gees album I own on CD. Definitely do want to check out more of the early stuff a bit more. But I got this CD purely because it was at a Rite Aid and it was like $5. So I was like, no, might as well pick it up. And I knew some of the hits as well, so that helped a bit. So yeah, definitely nice to talk about the Bee Gees a bit more. I feel like people don't really give them that much respect, especially because they only talk about, especially the disco haters. Like people only know the Bee Gees as a disco band, and of course, there's a lot of people who hate disco. I don't get why, but still, it's kind of nice to talk about them.
It's probably just in the same vein of the people, like anything that's commercial is bad, and disco was like the commercial music of the late
Hmm.
70s.
Right.
So this is the only full album I've heard by the Bee Gees. Of course, I know them for like Staying Alive, More Than a Woman. I even Nights on Broadway. I've heard Nights on Broadway before. That's a pretty good song. And those people who say disco sucks, this is good disco here. Come on, like how can you not like this? Just a quick heads up, I really enjoyed this album. It's kind of a preface to it. I've got some very good things to say about it. So now we are on to where does this album fall in the Bee Gees lineup? Nick, I'm going to let you tell the background information. Background information.
Background information. Well, I'd say it's pretty standard. Of course, you have the Gibb brothers, Robin, Barry, and Morris, both very talented, very talented. Well, when they started as young men, I mean, they were making hits in Australia in like '63 when they were just little kids. I mean,
Wow.
to me, I mean, to me, if you're making hits as a little kid, the only other person who did that was Stevie Wonder. So, it, to me, if you're in the same like category as Stevie Wonder, then right away, you're off to you're off to a great start. But like I said, of course, you got the Gibb brothers, and yeah, they recorded Saturday Night Fever soundtrack. Of course, that album really made them popular because of the movie. Of course, there's so many like iconic scenes from that movie. Of course, you can't think of Staying Alive without picturing of course John Travolta walking the way he did. But they do have a backing band. Alan Kendall on lead guitar, Dennis Bryon on drums, Blue Weaver on as a synthesizers, piano, and keyboards, vibraphone, and the harp. I think that's how you say it. And for the additional person, there's a bunch of people, but I'll just say some extras. Neil Bonsanti, I don't know if I'm saying that. He's on horn. Gary Brown on saxophone. Uh, yeah, there's just a lot of people are working on this album with him, and it's great. It's great seeing how this album unfolds, and there's so much talent going into this. Like a lot of people like to throw it off because it's popular, it's poppy. There's no talent into it, but no, it's further from the truth. There's so much great writing in this, so much great instrument playing on this. It's very very good. Love this album.
Yeah, especially at this point. I mean, they were pretty much on top of the world at this point. Not only was Saturday Night Fever a big thing, but even other stuff. They were helping Andy, their brother Andy, with his solo career, which was also very strong at the time. I mean, Barry gave a song to the Grease soundtrack with the song Grease. So they were everywhere. Like they were like big hit makers, even outside of the Bee Gees. Like they were just writing songs left and right for other people, and they were all getting pretty successful. So they're talented songwriters for good reasons if they had this many hits.
Yeah, even the first album in Australia, they were writing songs. They didn't have any covers. I don't think they had a single cover on any of their albums. That's just proves how great they are. I will say one thing is that Morse is not on this album as much. The one on the left. Uh, I don't. I forgot why, but recording as much. The only member of the Bee Gees that wasn't in the full album at all was Robin on the right. Has nothing to do with this album, but every album though has all three members in it though at least once in this album. But yeah, that's the only like big thing to note is that Morris isn't on it as much.
Yeah, I did look up a little bit, and the reason why Morris is not on the album was because he was having a drinking problem at the time, and apparently he was having back issues too. So, so he wasn't really as involved during this period. And in terms of Robin, like yeah, at this point he's not really singing lead as much. And I've watched interviews with Barry, and he said that was kind of Robin's decision because he knew Barry's voice was giving him the hits. So he was like pushing Barry to sing more so they can keep being on the charts. Because apparently that was Robin's whole thing. Like he was always kind of focused on trying to be successful, keeping it going, that sort of thing. So yeah, that kind of just explains a little bit more.
That's mature of him though, because in the late '60s, Robin left the band because he wasn't getting his way.
Mm,
Yeah, he's like, oh, I think my hits are better, blah blah blah. But that's mature of him. That's very mature of him. Definitely,
mm,
definitely grown up. Robin is much better than I'm gonna leave the band because you're not picking my songs as singles.
He
right.
definitely has his time to shine on this album.
Yeah, he
There's a
Oh
does.
yeah,
there's a song in
Robin.
particular.
Hmm.
Robin's my favorite member. I'm just gonna say that right now. You're gonna if when we start reviewing the earlier Peachy stuff, you're gonna really hear me talk about Robin. But he's great in this period too.
Cool. Let's go ahead and dive into the track listing. We're gonna start out with an amazing song right away. Right as soon as you start the album, you get hit with tragedy. And I don't know about you, but this is the only time where tragedy striking is a good thing because, man, this is great.
Yeah,
Hmm.
this is an amazing song. The falsetto is just oh my god! Like as soon as you pop, like you said, as soon as you pop the needle down, you just get hit right away. I mean, so far in this period, uh, Night on Broadway, uh, You Should Be Dancing, Staying Alive, and Tragedy. So far, their opening's really great. This is definitely no exception to that. I mean, to be honest, I just think the Bee Gees just know how to open up a record. They're just really good at opening an album. But yeah, this is an amazing song.
Yeah, yeah. This is obviously I knew the song from the Greatest Hits compilation, and I loved it right away when I first heard it. I mean, it just doesn't waste any time. It just starts you right into it with the keyboard riff, and just that so many hooks throughout this whole song. Like even the guitar, you can hear the guitar melody playing underneath, and the horns, of course. It's a great up-tempo song, and the chorus is just so catchy as well. Just really good. And what's it's funny, you can actually go on YouTube. You can actually find them recording this song. Like they actually have footage of them in the studio, and even do the whole breakdown of how they because in the song there you hear an explosion sound, and really that was just Barry just talking to the mic, just giving my thing that sound effect. Just pretty
Really.
cool. Yeah, just really cool. Yeah, just a really great song. And apparently they wrote this in the same afternoon while they were filming that Sergeant Pepper movie that they did, starring Peter with him and Peter Frampton. So that's kind of interesting. It was actually written the same afternoon that they wrote the next song that we'll talk about in a bit. So yeah, just a little thing. But yeah, great song.
I
That movie
love,
is so bad.
I've never seen
Yeah.
it, but
I've
I
It's
seen
said,
clips.
horrible.
Yeah.
Don't ever watch it. Don't. If you want to keep liking the Bee Gees, just don't even bother. It's bad. It's
Yeah.
really bad.
like, oh, it's Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, the movie with the Bee Gees. Wait, what?
And Peter Frampton. Like,
It's
what?
like, shouldn't that be the Beatles? No.
Yeah.
I've made a joke before. I've been at the record store and I've seen that soundtrack and it's like, one of the greatest albums of all time, Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band by the Bee Gees. It's like I think the one good thing that came out of that though was Earth, Wind, and Fire doing "Got to Get You Into My Life."
Hmm.
That
No,
was
that's true.
the one good thing that came out of that movie. But
I will say this: if the Bee Gees recorded Sergeant Pepper's, like did a cover of Sergeant Pepper's the album when they were in their '60s pop era, it would have sounded great. But I don't think it would have been as obviously it wouldn't have been as good, but it would have been a whole lot better than it was when they were doing it now.
yeah,
But yeah, we're talking about something good right now, so I don't want to spoil it.
I love the like what keyboard is that? It sounds like a very classical sounding keyboard, like a clavinet or
Hmm.
something like that, or a
Yeah, I'm not
harpsichord or
sure.
something like that.
Yeah.
But
I'm a big fan of the harpsichord.
I love that just descending bow down down
Hmm.
down 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 down, and then the
Hmm.
guitar riffs come in, like some really good guitar fills in here. And I know you were talking about that explosion. I've always loved that sound effect. That's just the one song that I'm really familiar with on this album. Whenever it just kind of everything just kind of breaks down, and then you just
Hmm.
hear
Hmm.
tragedy,
Hmm.
and the harmonies that they have on this song, as pretty much every song on this album, are fantastic. Great way to set the mood for the record.
Hmm.
Indeed, like I said, I don't think they had a single bad opening track so far going through their discography.
All right, we are now going to move on to track two. Too Much Heaven.
This song is so beautiful. I don't know if I want this to be my favorite song on the album or my second favorite, but this song is so beautiful. When I first heard it, when I first went through this album and I listened to this, I'm like, how is this the first time I'm ever listening to this album? How? Like, literally how? Like, like this and Main Course, those two albums. I'm like, how is this the first time I've ever heard these albums? It's such a great song. I don't have, I don't, I can't even put words into it. It's just so good, so beautiful.
Yeah, gorgeous is what I would describe this, like gorgeous vocals and the horns on this track. And fun fact, some of the people providing the horns was actually some of the members of Chicago, because
Oh
they
wow.
were actually, yeah, because they were actually recording their album Hot Streets around the same time, around in the same area. So they're kind of like, yeah, hey, let's, why not? But yeah, it's a fantastic song. I think Robin has said in interviews this is one of his favorites. Even Brian Wilson says he really loved this track. So yeah, this was originally meant for charity. This was for, they wrote the song for UNICEF, and all the profits will go there. And of course, it did really well. So that was nice. And yeah, just a terrific ballad. Just all the harmonies as well. Apparently, there was like 27 voices in total in this track, and
Oh wow.
so it's just so full and just so lush. Yeah, this is one of my favorites. Just again, one of my favorite Bee Gees songs. Yeah, amazing.
I like Chicago, but Hot Streets is just an okay album.
Yeah.
It's got some good. Don't get me wrong, that's got some good songs on it, but
Mhm.
it's not their best.
Yeah.
But it's
Even
very
though,
interesting they
even
played
though,
on.
yeah, even though How Deep Is Your Love is my favorite of this period of theirs.
Same.
There's still amazing songs in this era,
Mhm.
like this one.
I really enjoyed this song. The this big star of this song was the harmonies. I didn't know they overdubbed themselves to where it was 27 times, but wow, it sounds very full and just you just kind of hit with a wave of the voice of the Bee Gees whenever you listen to this song, and it's like it's just very easy listening. It's like kind of just throw it on and relax, just enjoy the music, kind of a
Mhm.
thing.
Yeah.
It's like something you put on after like a hard day of work. Just put on
Yeah,
Spirits Having Flown, and
Mhm.
then skip to this track and just sort of
I
get lost in
know
the
a
music.
lot of time we like to throw on music that like is challenging to our brains, like Rush or Genesis or something like that. But sometimes you just want to throw on something and just
Yeah,
vibe with it. And
exactly.
like, not that this isn't complicated. Like some of the musicianship I was noticing on this album is very good. It's just like it's like you get as much as you want out of this album. You can get just like a nice, oh, this is a vibe, or you can get, man, the guys who are playing on this album are very talented, and the way that they're harmonizing is just amazing. So you kind of can get whatever you want out of this album, whether
Yeah,
as little or as much as you want out of it.
a lot of variety on this album, I will say. Yeah,
Mhm.
there's a lot of variety.
Yeah.
Some people who hate disco might like just be like, oh, there's none, but there's a lot more variety than you think.
Okay. Love You Inside Out.
Now this is another good hit off the album. Probably my least favorite of the three hits off the album. I mean, to be honest, it's has a hard competition. Tragedy and Too Much Heaven, but yes, this is still an amazing hit off of the album. Definitely more moving than the last track, but yes, this is another great track on the album. I don't have a lot to say about it. It's like this is an album where you just got to listen to it for yourself. Kind of experience how I felt when I first listened to it. It's just
Mhm.
this is an experience to say the least.
For
Right.
me, like
Yeah.
this song, as well as a few others on this album, show that the Bee Gees can bring the funk to the party. Like
Yep.
it's like they're, it's like just the face. That's all I can describe it as. It's like, ooh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This
Good
album may or
timing.
may not be my favorite album of '79. Just to let you know.
Oh wow.
Okay.
I would
Um,
go with The Wall or Breakfast in America, but
yeah, probably the same, but
Oh yeah,
still a good one.
that's
Yeah. Yeah, this is another great standout song. Again, best thing about disco was that the bass really got time to shine. It was just like so just great bass lines playing with the octaves and just really groovy lines. Yeah, this was another song I knew off the compilation, and yeah, I loved it right away. Again, another great catchy chorus to this one. Just this kind of very cool funk laden track, many hooks, and little story I looked up. They used the song to pull a prank on their manager. So the original line, if you notice, there's a line that says backwards and forwards with my heart hanging out. You might have to censor this, but the they wanted to see if their manager was really paying attention to the music they were making. So instead, they had a line that said backwards and forwards with my hanging out.
oh boy.
And apparently the manager found out, so I guess he was doing his job. So there you go.
they should have included that in like a deluxe edition or something.
Yeah.
That would have been
Do
Maybe.
they have the
No,
uncensored version somewhere?
maybe. I hope so.
oh man, that sucked. Oh, that'd be funny.
Yeah, it's not on this CD.
Yeah, I want to own this album. I need to own this album.
All right. Anything else about this one?
No,
Okay.
not for me.
Track 4, Reaching Out.
What's your opinion on it though? I don't think I heard you say anything about it yet.
Yeah, you did.
Oh,
I think you gave a little bit.
yeah, I said it's
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Sorry, Mike. I'm still very tired from work yesterday.
that's okay.
You're
Sorry.
good.
Yeah,
Let's just start that again.
yeah. Sorry about that.
Track 4, Reaching Out.
That's another good song on the album. It's after reviewing such a horrible album in my channel, it's nice to have an album where I have all good things to say. One of probably like towards the middle to the bottom of my list of songs, but it's still a great song on the album. Yeah, it was a great song.
Yeah, I'd say so. Again, kind of back to more ballad stuff, but I'm a sucker for ballads, so of course I like this. Again, the harmony, again, probably the big standout, and I love the acoustic guitar. You definitely don't hear much acoustic guitar on disco stuff very much, but it's definitely very welcoming. I think it adds to the brightness to this, and the keyboards, again, just adding to the sound. And man, Barry was going hard on that ending. Like he's just like I feel like Barry Gibb doesn't get much appreciation as a singer, especially with his falsetto, especially when he just goes off. It's just sounds cool. Like I hear some people think it's annoying, but not, of course it's awesome to me. So of course I'm pretty sure all three of us agree that yeah, it's
Yes.
really cool. So yeah, this is another good song.
Yeah, another great one. The Bee Gees pulling off a ballad. We've had a big like to open the album.
Hmm.
We kind of dialed it a little bit back with Too Much Heaven. We've got the funk, and then now we've got the ballad. So kind of mixing it up a little bit. Everything has been different up to this point. So another thumbs up in my book. Another great song.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah,
Okay. Track 5, the title track, Spirits Having Flown.
this is another song that really stood out to me. When I first heard it, I thought it was really great, but then the second listen really stood out to me. I mean, yeah, I said it was my favorite on the group chat when I first heard it, but man, this song really it stands out to me every time I listen to it. Like even though I listened to the album in full 2 times, I listened to this track like 4 or 5 times so far. Such a great song. Yeah, when I first heard this first side of this album, I'm like, oh no, I hope this isn't like an album that's like front sided and like the other half is not as good. Because I'm not gonna lie, I was a little afraid of that when I first listened to the album. Like, oh, don't tell me this is gonna be a front loaded album, like Frontiers by Journey. But you'll find out if that was the case or not for me.
Yeah, yeah. Again, I heard the song on the compilation, and yeah, it immediately drew my attention because it definitely sounds very different from everything on this album. Like it has that R&B, but it has like almost like tropical or R&B or tropical or Caribbean type of sound, which was definitely interesting. But I liked it. And I think the song just grew over the years of me hearing it over again, because there's so much to enjoy about this. I think it's the first time on the album where you hear where Barry uses his more natural voice on the verses, but then when the chorus kicks in, that's when he brings it back in with the falsetto. Just a great drop, little great drop, by the way. Chorus is just great. And I love the melody after once the chorus is done, you get like I can't tell if it's a keyboard or a wind instrument or some kind of horn, but the melody after the chorus is just like so good. And I love when the strings come in towards the end. And yeah, this is another great standout. One of my favorites on the album.
I like all the different instruments that they're playing on this song. It's like at the beginning, it's just like some acoustic guitar, but then like
Mm-hmm.
they kind of like keep building more and more instruments on it, so you get to the end. Definitely one of the best songs on the album, and once again, the harmonies are just amazing. Okay, it is time to flip the record over
Yep.
and go to side two. First track on the second side, Search, Find.
It's a fantastic song. Like when I listened to the album for the first time, I'm like I said with the first, like when I had my opinion on the fifth track, I'm like, oh, well, this isn't a front loaded album. Heard the song for the first time, going through this, I'm like, nope, this is not going to be a front loaded album. This is going to be a complete masterpiece. Yeah, this is another fantastic song on the album. It's just the instrument playing. This reminds me of like Cool in the Gang, and I mean not in the best way possible because I love Cool in the Gang. They're great.
Yep. Yeah, I didn't have a whole lot to say. But that means a bad thing. Because yeah, this was a very fun song. Like this is pretty much most of the songs on side one I knew beforehand, but side two were songs I had never heard before. And I think this was definitely a good way to start the second side. It's just this cool, fun, funky disco track, tons of horns on it, again, provided by Chicago once again. This is actually the second song they appeared on. But yeah, I didn't have much to say, but it's fun and what's not to like about it. So yeah, I liked it.
Another one of the best songs on the album. When I first heard this, I was like, whoa, the horns are really good. Just again, it's the
Mhm.
you get you grooving.
Mhm.
It's a vibe. This album is a vibe, and it's just something I'd like to throw on just when I want to get in a vibe.
Definitely.
All right. Anything else about this one?
No.
But say what I had to say. So,
Okay. Stop. Think again. Track 8. Or sorry,
just
7.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So,
This is a good song. Nice ballad. It's the longest song on the album. It doesn't feel like it's long. It's like 6 minutes long, I believe. Yeah, it's a nice song. Get lost in the ballad. I can enjoy myself a ballad or two once in a while. Especially in the context of this album, definitely works. Uh, yeah, it was a really fine song. They're probably in the middle of the road for me, but that doesn't mean it's a bad song at all. But I mean, if you have a great album like this, it's kind of hard to beat some of the songs on this album. But yeah, that's my opinion on it.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a similar idea. Yeah. Again, probably one that kind of ranks near towards the bottom, but again, there's no bad song on this album, I think. So doesn't say a whole lot. Doesn't really say a whole lot, but yeah, it's just this nice chill track. Nice guitar licks, and again, Barry has a nice little high notes in here, and a nice little saxophone solo too. Definitely like nice to hear it. And I do like how right before the chorus, the song pauses for a sec, like the title says, "Stop, think again," and then goes right into the chorus. Nice little touch there. Again, just a nice little deep cut on here, and yeah, it's pretty nice.
Another great ballad. Another great ballad. I agree that this is maybe one of the weaker songs on the album, but there's no weak songs on this album. I would still say it's better than like, oh, I don't know, like one of the a weaker song on a weaker album, like "Dust My Broom." But this is a really great song.
Yeah, why hasn't the Bee Gees repeated a riff off this album yet? Where's
I don't hear no.
The Bee Gees are so uncreative. They didn't repeat tragedy 4 times. That's that's I'm gonna have to talk with them. Have to have a talk with them. Well, talk with one of them since sadly two of them passed away.
Right.
Okay, what's next? Living Together, track 8. I'll go first on this one.
This is okay.
I love this one. I know, Nick, you said that this one might be one of your favorites, but I love this one. It's the other really funky song on this album. The bass, oh my goodness, it's so good. And I love how Barry Gibb finally gets to sing more in his lower voice, but only on one line. When he goes, "Living Together." And that line in the last song make me think that he really should sing more in his natural voice in the disco period. I know he did back in other periods, but I'd like to hear some of the songs that aren't like, I don't want to hear all his falsetto. I'd like to hear a little more of his regular voice, just to maybe like one or two of the other songs. That's the only.
Sorry.
Like literally the only complaint I have about this album, and it's very small. I just want to hear one other song with him singing in his lower register. But that doesn't mean I don't like his falsetto. It's great. But I just kind of like how it trades off. And I think wasn't this the song where Robin has a great falsetto part on it?
Yes, he does.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I like how they kind of trade off singing on this one too.
Yeah, Robin's amazing. Yeah, that's the exact reason why I think "How Deep Is Your Love" is my favorite Bee Gees disco song. I mean, I love his falsetto, but Barry does a great job at singing disco in his lower voice. That's the exact reason. And not that, but he does great falsettos on that song too. Yeah, I wish "How Deep Is Your Love" was on a real studio album like "Children of the World" or this album. It would have been nice.
You got moved to the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack.
Get it? Essential.
Like that, and
well,
More Than a Woman, Staying Alive.
Actually, one. Yeah. Fun fact, though, that album was recorded to be. It was actually Good Night Fever, Staying Alive, More Than a Woman, and that was recorded for a studio album. But then when they asked them to do it, they're like, "You can use those songs for the soundtrack." And then they used the song from this album, "You Should Be Dancing," and a couple of songs from Main Course, which was "Night on Broadway" and "Jack Talking." So it worked for a great soundtrack, but I wish the songs on that album would
They should
have
have
been
made
on actual albums. Like
they should have made a whole album off of it.
yeah, but that's just a stupid minor complaint.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will say that this is my least favorite on the album, Living Together, but that doesn't mean it's a bad song at all. I mean, after the last album reviewed, Mr. Wonderful, this
And
song's
it,
like light years better than the best song on that album. So take that as you will.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't have much else to add to it, but yeah, this was definitely a song that I forgot about for because yeah, it was a deep cut, and I haven't heard this album in a long time, and so hearing the song again, I was like, wow, this song was a lot better than I remember. Because yeah, you have Robin and Barry trading off. Definitely nice to hear Robin a bit more on this album. Ken, great horn intro. Again, we're back to the funky disco stuff again with a great bass line once more. And I love the sound of the verses that Robin does. Like I think he sings that really well. Uh, Again, very great. So yeah, I enjoy this one. Definitely another highlight for me.
and that brings us to the next song, I'm Satisfied.
Pretty much sums up the whole album.
Yeah, yes, this is a great song on the album. Still probably towards the bottom of my towards the bottom, but again, this is a really solid song. There's some songs from their boring ballady period that I'm like, yeah, this is a lot better than that. Uh, yeah, yeah. Their ballad period isn't bad, but yeah, this is definitely not one of the weaker songs. Let's just say that this is a great song.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, it's somewhere in the middle for me, but still enjoy it. Again, we're kind of back to this tropical sound once again. Definitely nice to hear it again. Very breezy flute on like the flute sounds you hear on this one. Again, the horns, great standout. Yeah, it's just a nice feel good type of track. Nothing really out there, but it's definitely nice, satisfying. Listen.
It's good. It's another good Bee Gees ballad. That's really all I have to say. Nothing bad to say
Right.
about it, though.
Mm-hmm.
And the closer to the album, Until.
This song though, this song's great. I love this song. What a fantastic way of ending their '70s period. Like it's up there with like ending like and song ending decades like Tusk and Into the Outdoor and The Wall or even Breakfast in America, Child of Vision. It's such a great way to end off the decade. That they had a great decade, the '70s. They start off great with their Cucumber Castle album with the first song on that album. They end off perfectly with this song. What a great, what a great decade for the Bee Gees, I must say. Great decade for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very nice, very pleasant way to close out the album. Again, not really a whole lot, but you have Barry singing in his natural voice, and keyboards on this one. Really love the intro to it. Really like the sound there, and you have eventually the strings come in to add more to the sound. Yeah, it's just a very pleasant way to close out the album. So yeah, I didn't have much else to add, but yeah, it's a very nice closing song.
I think it's a really great way to end the album, and I was very happy to finally get to hear a song where Barry is singing in his lower register. It was good to hear that, and just a great ender for a great album.
Mhm.
I think you're gonna like one more. I think you're gonna like One More Minute Woman, please. Hold on. I don't know if I said the name of the song right. Hold on. Yeah, 1 Minute Woman. I think you're gonna like that song, Garrett from the first album. Well, Bee Gees' first from third album. I think you're gonna like that song because it's basically a very good solo song almost. It's just kind of just him singing. Yeah, I think you're gonna like the earlier stuff with him singing in this lower register voice.
Cool. Well, that's going to bring us to our top 5 songs and album ranking.
I'll go first. Uh, 5, Until. Number 4, Tragedy. Number 3, Search and Find. Number 2, Too Much Heaven. Number 1, Spirits Having Flown. Top 2 there could go either way. Like sometimes I in the mood for Too Much Heaven, sometimes I could go for Spirit Having Flown. It songs could go either way.
All right. Yeah, and for my top five, I'm gonna go with Living Together. Number four, Love You Inside Out. Number three, Spirits Having Flown. Number two, Too Much Heaven. And number one, Tragedy.
Yeah, there's so much good song. All the songs are good. I can't even have a dishonorable mention.
Yeah, same here. I didn't have one.
No. I'm gonna go with number 5 Until. Number 4, Living Together. Number 3, oh wait, no. Man, gotta calculate this out. I'm just gonna go from top to bottom instead of bottom to top. Number 1 is Tragedy. Number 2 is Too Much Heaven. Number 3 is Spirits Having Flown. Number 4 is Love You Inside Out. Number 5 is Living Together, and I think Search Find will be the honorable mention.
Mm-hmm. Basically matched their top
if
four.
If I had to pick an honorable mention, it'll probably be Love You Inside Out.
Yeah, I guess for my honorable mention will be Reaching Out.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. Like I said, there is no dishonorable song.
Yeah, no.
Like
I don't know if I can do what they do with their voices in that song. They're like, and they hold the note.
Yeah.
And the album ranking on a scale of 1 to 10.
I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. When I first listened to it, it was a 9 out of 10. But re-listening to this for the review, it's a perfect album. I have no complaints about it. Just nothing bad about it. There's 5 amazing songs, like 5 perfect songs, and then like the other 5 are great. That's to me, it's a 10 out of 10 album.
Understand that? Yeah, I can see that. I'm gonna give this. I'm gonna go with the 9 out of 10 for now. It could go up, but I think 9 out of 10 is a good, nice little average. Again, for disco R&B album, this is definitely a very good one. So yeah, I enjoyed this listen.
Oh shoot, you're not gonna like my ranking. I love this album, but it's not as high as that. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10, and here's why. Whenever
that was my original rating.
When I factor in to an album ranking, one of the things I factor in is how many times would I reach for this album and play it. And as absolutely amazing as this album is, I don't feel like this would be one that would get constant rotation on my turntable. Like I feel like I definitely would want to own this record. I just don't feel like it would be want to be playing over and over and over and over again, if that makes sense. Like it's whenever I want to get into the vibe, I'll put it on. It's like, hey, I haven't heard this Bee Gees album in a while. Let's throw that on. But I don't think it's going to get as much play as, say, Who's Next or Moving Pictures or Boston or something like that. And those albums are like 9 or 10. So that's why I'm giving it an 8.
That's fair.
Kind of cool. Kind of descended there. 10, 9, 8. That's fine.
10, 9, 8. I wonder if Jason would have given it a 7.
That
would have been
interesting. I feel like Jason would really like this album.
He would.
Like, this is going to be one of his favorites.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that is the Bee Gees, Spirits Having Flown. Really good to finally get to cover these guys on the channel. I know they were everywhere in the 70s, so good to get to put some Bee Gees up on the channel. Any disco fans out there, you're welcome. And we will see you guys next time. Thank you, as always, for stopping in. And remember, art is expression. See you later.